audiobook in English for children 6 years old and up titled Tita and the Colors of Love by C.V. Monterrubio. Narrated by Juan Garcia, Marta Turok, and C.V. Monterrubio.
Molo was happy. Today, she was going to spend the afternoon with one of her favorite people in the world, her grandmother Tita. Molo loved to visit Tita at her house. She would go in through the kitchen door and catch the smell of her favorite food, which Tita would lovingly prepare for her. Artichokes! Delicious! Once inside, she could feel the warmth coming from the stove and hear in the background the music from the small battery radio that Tita carried with her day and night. Molo gave Tita a kiss and a hug before washing her hands to sit and eat. She was on that task when, also through the kitchen door, her grandpa came into the room. With a spring, Molo jumped to greet him with a hug. Tita welcomed him with a kiss on the lips. Grandpa also washed his hands with the soap that smelled like lemons, dried them, and took his place at the table. Mealtime went on as usual, and once the food was eaten, Grandpa got ready to return to his job. He said sweet goodbyes to Molo and Tita and left. Molo helped Tita tidy up the kitchen and do the dishes. The smell of food and the warmth had dissipated out the window that Tita routinely opened for ventilation. The music of the AM radio station could barely be heard over the flickering sound of the flow of water. While she rinsed the tableware, Molo thought deeply. After draining the last utensil and closing the water tap, she asked,
Tita, is there more than one kind of love?
What do you mean, Molo?
Tita inquired curiously, while still tending to her task at hand.
Well, for instance, I know that you love me and you love my grandpa, but you show it differently to each of us. I'm not saying it's larger or lesser quantity. It's just not the same.
Tita stopped what she was doing, and glancing tenderly at her granddaughter, she said to her, pointing at a shelf,
Look, hand me that glass prism that's up there.
Molo followed suit and carefully took the small glass pyramid in her hands. She passed it over to her grandma, who then placed it on the table. Tita took a small lamp from a drawer and proceeded to explain to Molo.
Look, Molo, my granny explained to me many years ago that love is like light, an energy that is both white and all the colors at once. Pay attention to this.
Tita aimed the white light of her small lamp to one of the faces of the prism, while vertically holding a small white paper on the other end of it. To Molo's surprise, the same ray came out the other side as a rainbow. A white light had transformed into 7 different strands of colored lights, aligned one next to the other.
Oh, you made a rainbow! How did you know how to do that?
Ah, check it out. Do you notice how this white light is really composed of many colored lights? The prism reveals this to us with its shape, and it shows us that things change depending on where you see them. In the same way, my granny told me that total love is one unit, like the white light, but at the same time, it's composed of different types of love, just like the light is formed of diverse colors.
Tell me more, Tita.
Molo was completely intrigued with this new information. With a gesture, Tita instructed Molo to return the prism to its original place. Molo obeyed instantly, and she included a trill on one foot, pretending to dance.
I will begin with the love between your grandpa and me. Sometimes 2 people find each other, admire and feel attracted to each other, get to know each other, connect their hearts, and fall in love. It can be called romantic love, although everyone defines romance differently. This love is nurtured by words and actions that make it deep, strong, and long-lasting. Let's say that this couple's love is red. This would be the color of the love that I feel for your grandpa and he feels for me. The first love that many of us are lucky to receive comes from the guardians that take care of us at the beginning of our life. For many of us, that is our mother, our father, or both. For others, it's a grandparent or a relative. You know that not everybody who is born has someone to take care of them. The love that unites guardians with their natural or adopted children springs from a special connection that exists between the protectors and their protected ones. Let's say that this filial love is the color orange.
Tita went silent after finishing that sentence and walked to get a small kettle out of the oven. Molo was still observant without saying a word. She took the broom that was resting by the corner and started to sweep the floor, while Tita started to heat up a quart of water over the fire.
But what happens when the family grows? What happens when the sisters or the brothers arrive, the cousins, the aunts and uncles, the nieces and nephews? I'm sure that the love you feel for your parents is very different than the one you feel for your sister or brother, isn't it?
You're right, Tita.
Answered Molo, giggling while she swept.
Well, then, we could agree that those are different types of love. It's not larger or smaller than the others. It just feels and is expressed differently. This is familial or tribal love. Let's make it the color yellow.
I'm getting it now. It's like what Grandpa told us about how race is like ice cream. There are many flavors, but it's all ice cream. In the assortment lies the preference.
That's right, my Molo. And just like ice cream, love can be combined. Let's continue with the color green, the love between true friends. You find that mostly among people your age, with whom you establish a bond of trust and share adventures throughout your life.
Before continuing, Tita paused her conversation to approach the boiling water and turn off the fire. Molo looked for their mugs, took them, and placed them carefully on the table. Tita spoke again.
Suppose now that one of your cousins and you start to get together in the afternoons and begin to share your secrets and adventures with each other, slowly becoming confidants. First, you loved each other in yellow, and as you deepened your relationship and mutual trust, you became friends, and now you also love each other in green.
They don't replace each other? I thought they did.
It can be one or the other or both. Let me give you another example. Your grandfather and I were friends before we became a couple, but he has never stopped being my friend. I feel for him red love and green love. He would say that his green love turned red. In reality, we each feel love according to who we are. There is more than one correct answer.
Molo carefully grabbed the kettle with the hot water and poured it on the 2 mugs that Tita had prepared moments earlier. The distinct smell of their beverages made their noses smile, while the steam caressed their foreheads.
I'm sure you've also noticed that the love you feel for your dog is plenty, but it's not the same as the one you feel for your family or your friends. True?
True. I can't say that it's less or more, but it's different.
I like to give that type of love the color blue. The love we feel for animals, plants, and bodies of water is a very particular one. When you surround yourself and love other living beings with whom you cannot chat or argue, you connect with the part of yourself that has the same particles that form all the natural world. It's a love that's warm and fresh at once, cozy and open, cuddly and invigorating. Not everyone feels this kind of love, but that's okay. Feeling affection towards others is a personal matter. Each one of our hearts chooses when, how much, how, where, who, and which color or colors to love during our lifetime.
Oof, that raises another question for me. What happens when they are no longer with us? You know I still love Chuchito.
Oh my, this Molo always getting ahead of herself. I'm coming to it, Molo. Let's assign indigo to the love for those who are unreachable, not only because it's the next color of the rainbow, but it's also the darkest of the set. This is a nostalgic love that you feel for your deceased dog, and the one I'll always feel for my grandma and my parents. Not everyone believes that this kind of love exists because the object of the affection can't be seen with the eyes on your face, only with the ones of the heart. That is the way in which we also love those who are very, very far away from us. One of the nicest things about love is that because it's energy, it can't be created nor destroyed, only transformed. Just as you can love one person more than one way, the love that you feel for someone or something can change intensity or dimensions.
After saying this, Tita locked her eyes on Molo for a few seconds with a caring gaze, and then turned around. She hung her cleaning rag on the hook that still caught the sunlight and made the last ritual movements before exiting the kitchen. The afternoon was barely coming. The birds were heard not too far away, while up in the sky, the clouds were nowhere to be seen.
Before we finish our colors, let's get out of the kitchen, Molo. Bring the mugs and come with me to where my drawer is. Thank you, darling, for helping me.
She approached her granddaughter and gave her a warm kiss on the cheek. She then shut the window.
Always, Tita.
Molo answered joyfully and returned the loving gesture by kissing her beloved tiny grandma on her head. Every time that Tita opened her drawer, a subtle smell of candy, flowers, and freshly baked bread came out, although those objects had never been inside it. She opened it with one hand, whilst the other went into it to search for something that within moments she found. In one band of Molo's eyelashes, the drawer had been closed and Tita was already sitting on her chair.
The love that will set on the color violet or purple is the one that is felt for the inanimate objects. I'm referring to the things, places, art, music, sounds, flavors, scents, jobs or activities that hold a place in our hearts. We tend to place in the inanimate beings the memories of people or special moments, maybe because we trust that we can always go to them to remember.
With her customary speed, Tita placed in Molo's pocket a small and fluffy black cloth bag that seemed to contain an object, tied with a purple string, and said to her,
"This is a gift from me to you. Keep it safe and open it when you're alone. It's a little bit of purple love so that you'll always have me close to you."
Molo looked at Tita and they smiled at each other in solidarity. It didn't take long for Molo to jump with excitement and hug her beloved granny.
Thank you, Tita. I will have it with me always. And you know what? I am also going to tie in a yellow string, a green one, an orange one, and even an indigo one to the bag. I love you in many colors.
As she finished her words, she smiled filled with emotion. She clinked her mug against her grandma's like she was sealing a lifetime deal and followed it up by twisting her mouth and crossing her eyes to make a funny face. This caused Tita to explode in laughter, which in that moment filled the space with all the colors of the rainbow. P.S. And what is the color of self-love? Is it magenta? Or is it black? Or is it a color that can be seen by the human eye and is unique to each person? I believe so.
The first printed edition of this book was published in 2022 in full color, hardcover, bilingual, and illustrated by Natalia Gurovich. Printed in Mexico, edited by BBU Publishing. The audiobook was recorded at Oslo Sound Studio in Mexico City by sound engineer Orson Ramirez.